Welcome to Dad's Hidden Revenge. Thank you for joining. Let's begin. Adrian Vale tapped his fingers against the leather steering wheel of his Porsche Panamera, a leftover habit from his years as a combat engineer. The car cut through the rain-soaked streets of Seattle as the evening storm built. Tonight marked 15 years since he launched Ironwall Security Solutions. His wife, Vanessa, had promised a special celebration at home. At 43, Adrian had built his security consulting firm into a quiet powerhouse. His military background gave him the perfect toolkit: methodical planning, strategic thinking, an almost unnatural ability to spot threats before they surfaced. Those same traits made him a devoted husband and father, always thinking 3 steps ahead. As he turned into the driveway of their modern home in the Queen Anne Hills, Adrian noticed an unfamiliar Maserati parked on the street. It belonged to Marcus Webb, his chief operating officer and supposed friend of 8 years. They'd met at a cybersecurity conference. Adrian had been impressed by Marcus's technical mind and easy charm. He brought him into Ironwall, eventually giving him a 20% stake. Adrian entered quietly through the side door. Laughter drifted from the master bedroom upstairs. His training kicked in. Silent movement, controlled breathing. He removed his shoes and moved toward the staircase. Each step measured. The house felt unusually empty. His 16-year-old son, Julian, should have been home from soccer practice. At the top of the stairs, the sounds became unmistakable. Adrian stood outside the bedroom door, face unreadable, as he recorded the audio on his phone. Then he walked downstairs, retrieved something from his office safe, and returned to push the door open. "Don't stop on my account," Adrian said, his voice ice-cold. Vanessa and Marcus scrambled for cover. "Adrian, this isn't—" Marcus started, but went silent when he saw the flash drive in Adrian's hand. 15 years of marriage, Vanessa. 8 years of partnership, Marcus. Adrian's voice stayed eerily calm. "And I've been tracking this affair for the past 6 months. Vanessa's face went pale. "What do you mean, tracking?" "I design security systems for a living. Did you really think I wouldn't notice when my own wife started acting differently?" Adrian held up the flash drive. "Every hotel meeting, every text, every dollar Marcus skimmed from company accounts to buy you gifts. It's all here." "You can't prove anything about company funds," Marcus bluffed, reaching for his pants. "Don't bother getting dressed. You're both leaving now." Adrian's eyes showed nothing, no rage, no pain. That made him more terrifying than any outburst. "Where's Julian?" Vanessa asked, suddenly remembering their son. "With my sister Patricia. I called her this afternoon when I decided tonight was the night." Adrian's foresight stunned them both. "He doesn't need to see this." As they hurriedly dressed, Adrian added, "I've already moved all your personal things to a storage unit. Vanessa, the code's been texted to you. And Marcus, don't bother coming to the office tomorrow. Security has cleared out your desk. You can't force me out of the company." "I own 20%, Marcus snarled. Adrian's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Check the partnership agreement. Clause 16.3, moral turpitude. Your shares revert to the company at 50 cents on the dollar. Already processed." After they left, Adrian sat alone in his home office, staring at a family photo on his desk. He didn't cry. Military training had taught him to compartmentalize. Instead, he began planning. Because if there was one thing Adrian Vale understood perfectly, it was that every resilient structure needed a solid foundation, and every effective attack required meticulous preparation. 3 weeks later, Julian refused to answer Adrian's calls. Vanessa had filled their son's head with stories about Adrian's controlling behavior, claiming he'd installed cameras throughout the house to spy on them. Marcus helped craft a narrative painting Adrian as paranoid and potentially dangerous. When divorce papers arrived, Adrian wasn't surprised by the demands. The house, half his company's value, despite the partnership agreement, and full custody of Julian. The accusations were creative: emotional abuse, surveillance, intimidation. Vanessa's attorney, Harrison Croft, was known for aggressive tactics in high-asset divorces. What did surprise Adrian was the emergency restraining order and the sudden appearance of Detective Lena Cross at his temporary apartment. She questioned him about alleged threats against Vanessa and Marcus. "Mr. Vale, Ms. West claims you threatened to, and I quote, dismantle their lives piece by piece," Detective Cross said, studying him. Adrian smiled slightly. "Detective, I'm a former combat engineer. If I made threats, I wouldn't use metaphors." "That's not a denial." "I haven't contacted either of them since the night I found them together," Adrian replied truthfully. "But I won't lie to you. I don't forgive betrayal." As Detective Cross left, Adrian received a text from his executive assistant, Sophia Reyes. "They've approached 3 of our major clients. Something about concerns over company stability. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. This wasn't just about his marriage anymore. They were coming for everything he'd built. Weeks passed. In court, Vanessa's custody petition claimed Adrian was emotionally unstable due to PTSD from his military service, an affliction he'd never had. Meanwhile, Marcus was meeting with competitors, revealing sensitive information about Ironwall's security protocols. "They're trying to leave you with nothing," said Teresa Lane, his lead attorney. "The custody battle, the company reputation, even the house. It's a coordinated attack. They want me to react," Adrian observed, "to prove their claims about my temperament." Sophia, who'd been with him since the early days, added, "Julian's testimony is their strongest weapon. Vanessa and Marcus have been coaching him for weeks." Adrian nodded, betraying nothing. "Then we focus on Julian first." Over the following months, Adrian appeared to falter. He lost 2 major clients. The court granted Vanessa temporary full custody after Julian testified about feeling unsafe around his father. Adrian was limited to supervised visits at a family center where Julian would sit in silence. During one visit, Adrian placed a chess set between them. "I don't want to play," Julian muttered, not meeting his eyes. "This was your grandfather's set," Adrian said quietly. "He taught me that in chess, like in life, you have to think beyond the immediate move." Julian looked up briefly. "Mom says you installed cameras to spy on us." "I installed a security system after her car was vandalized last year," Adrian explained. "Just like I did for your Aunt Patricia's house and Sophia's apartment after her break-in." A flicker of doubt crossed Julian's face before he looked away. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Marcus moved in together, celebrating their victories. Marcus had secured a position with Omni Systems, Ironwall's main competitor, bringing client information with him. Vanessa redecorated the house, confident the final divorce decree would award it to her. What they didn't notice was Adrian's careful maneuvering. He never called Vanessa directly, never confronted Marcus, never showed anger in court. Instead, he meticulously documented every conversation between Vanessa and her attorney through a security vulnerability in her laptop. The same laptop he'd given her for Christmas, equipped with the same security software his company installed for all clients. He discovered that Harrison Croft had coached Julian on what to say in court and to family evaluators. He learned that Marcus had digitally altered company documents before sharing them with competitors. Most importantly, he uncovered their plan to use the upcoming custody hearing to push for a psychiatric evaluation, hoping to weaponize Adrian's military background. During this time, Adrian befriended a security guard at Julian's school, Walter Briggs, a fellow veteran. Walter mentioned concerns about Julian's sudden behavioral changes. "Your boy used to be so open, Mr. Vale. Now he just stares at the ground. Something ain't right." With Walter's help, Adrian placed a small, fully legal recording device in Julian's soccer jacket, not to record at home, but during car conversations with Vanessa and Marcus. The final piece fell into place when Vanessa's father, Ronald West, contacted Adrian unexpectedly. The older man had initially sided with his daughter, but his own military background made him suspicious of the narrative. "Adrian, I've known you for 16 years, Ronald said during a private meeting. "You're calculating, maybe even cold at times, but you're not what Vanessa is claiming. Something doesn't add up." When Adrian revealed what he'd discovered, including Marcus's embezzlement and their manipulation of Julian, Ronald's loyalty wavered. "I raised her better than this," he said, shaking his head. "What do you need from me?" "Just the truth," Adrian replied. "When the time comes." On the day of the final custody hearing, Vanessa and Marcus believed they had Adrian cornered. His company was struggling, his reputation damaged, his son alienated. What they failed to realize was that Adrian wasn't fighting their battle. He was architecting his own. The courtroom fell silent as Vanessa testified under oath. She sat poised in a conservative navy dress, her eyes glistening with practiced tears. "Adrian always needed to control everything," she explained to Judge Camilla Bennett. "When I finally stood up for myself, he became unpredictable. Frightening." Marcus followed with his own testimony, describing how he had reluctantly become involved after witnessing Adrian's increasingly erratic behavior at work. "I feared for Vanessa and Julian's safety," Marcus claimed. "Adrian once told me that in the military he learned how to make people disappear without leaving evidence." Adrian's attorney objected, but the damage was done. When Julian took the stand, he avoided looking at his father entirely. "He's been violent and dangerous," the teenager repeated, using the exact phrasing Vanessa had used. "I don't feel safe around him." Judge Bennett turned to Adrian. "Mr. Vale, your attorney has declined to cross-examine the witnesses. Do you have any questions for your son?" Adrian stood slowly. "Just one. He held up Julian's phone. "Shall I play last Tuesday's conversation with your mother?" Julian's eyes went wide. The court reporter gasped as audio began playing. "Mom, I can't say that stuff about Dad in court. It's not true. Julian, we've been over this. Your father is dangerous. Remember what happened to that client who crossed him?" Marcus's voice interrupted. "Nothing actually happened to him, Vanessa." "But Julian, your father has the resources to destroy lives. The only way we can be safe is if he loses this case. But Dad never hurt anyone." "He will," Vanessa insisted. "If you don't help us, he'll take you away and you'll never see me again." "Is that what you want?" Judge Bennett's expression hardened. "Mr. Croft, what is the meaning of this?" Before Vanessa's attorney could respond, Adrian continued. "Your Honor, I have several more recordings of my wife and Mr. Webb coaching my son. I also have evidence that they fabricated the allegations against me." Adrian nodded to his attorney, who distributed folders to the judge and opposing counsel. "This includes documentation of Mr. Webb's financial misconduct at my company, their coordination to damage my business reputation, and text messages discussing their plan to, quote, destroy Adrian completely." Vanessa's face lost all color. "That's illegal surveillance. He can't—" "Actually," Adrian's attorney interjected, "all evidence was obtained legally. The recordings were made in public spaces or with consent of one party. The digital evidence comes from company devices with explicit monitoring policies." Judge Bennett reviewed the materials, her expression growing sterner. "I've seen enough to warrant a complete re-evaluation of this case." "Mr. Vale, what are you seeking today?" "Full custody of my son," Adrian stated firmly, "and a forensic financial investigation related to the divorce proceedings." Julian was looking at his father now, tears streaming down his face as he realized how he'd been manipulated. Adrian held his gaze, his eyes softening slightly for the first time. The judge called a recess. As the courtroom cleared, Detective Cross approached Marcus and Vanessa. "Mr. Webb, we need to discuss the financial documents Mr. Vale has provided to the department. There appear to be serious irregularities." Ronald West confronted his daughter. "I taught you about honor, Vanessa. What you've done to Adrian, to your own son, there's no coming back from this." "Dad, you don't understand," Vanessa began. "I understand perfectly." Ronald cut her off. "And I've already informed Judge Bennett that I'm testifying for Adrian this afternoon." When court resumed, the tide had turned completely. Judge Bennett granted Adrian temporary full custody, pending a comprehensive evaluation by a court-appointed psychologist. She also froze assets related to Marcus's financial activities and referred the matter to the district attorney's office. As they left the courthouse, Julian approached his father hesitantly. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know what was real anymore." Adrian placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "They manipulated you, Julian. That's not your fault. Can we go home?" Julian asked quietly. "We'll get there," Adrian promised. "But I sold the house." Julian looked surprised. "You did? When?" "Last month. To your grandfather." A rare smile crossed Adrian's face. "Ronald is going to let us stay there until we decide what's next." The aftermath unfolded methodically, just as Adrian had planned. Marcus was indicted for corporate espionage and financial fraud. His new employer fired him immediately. His professional reputation was irreparably damaged. No security firm would touch him. Vanessa discovered that her calculated betrayal had cost her everything. The divorce settlement awarded her only what the prenuptial agreement stipulated, a fraction of what she'd expected. Her father, disappointed by her actions, refused to bail her out. The house she'd fought for belonged to him now. Her social circle evaporated once the truth about her manipulation of Julian became known. 6 months later, Adrian sat in his restored office at Ironwall, which had not only recovered but grown stronger through the ordeal. Sophia entered with coffee and an update on their newest client, Omni Systems, Marcus's former employer. "Poetic justice," she observed, placing the cup on his desk. Marcus approached them yesterday, begging for any position. They showed him the door. "And Vanessa?" Adrian asked, his voice neutral. "Working as a real estate assistant in Phoenix. Apparently, Ronald gave her one condition for limited financial support. She needs to stay away from Oregon." Adrian nodded, neither pleased nor sorry. He didn't care about their suffering. He simply wanted them removed from his life and his son's life completely. That evening, as he and Julian played chess in their new downtown apartment, Julian asked, "Do you ever think about forgiving Mom?" Adrian moved his knight deliberately before answering. "Forgiveness is overrated, Julian. Some betrayals can't be undone. The best response is to ensure they never happen again." "Is that what you did? Made sure it wouldn't happen again?" Adrian studied his son, seeing a new maturity in his eyes. I protected what matters. You, the company, our future. Everything else was collateral damage. Julian nodded slowly, understanding the lesson. In the Vale family, loyalty was everything. Betrayal was unforgivable. Adrian never spoke Vanessa or Marcus's names again. In his precisely ordered world, they had ceased to exist the moment they conspired against him. He had not sought revenge for its own sake. He had simply architected their removal from the structure of his life, with the same meticulous planning he applied to everything else. And like any master architect, he had built something stronger in its place.